Hello, fight fans. Mike of MMA with Friends, and we're going to talk some boxing right now because this weekend, Anthony Joshua will enter the ring as the challenger, trying to regain his WBA, WBO, and IBO heavyweight championships from Andy Ruiz Jr. Now remember the narrative for the first fight. Andy Ruiz Jr., 15-0 underdog. I, to be honest, did not know anything about Andy Ruiz before that fight. I did start to study some about him. I realized he had only lost one fight, which was to Anthony Parker, the only guy to go the distance before that with Anthony Joshua. Still the only guy to go the distance with Anthony Joshua. And he'd given Anthony Joshua fits. I knew he was 105-5 as an amateur. And other than that, I really didn't know anything about the guy until the very first round. And then you'll watch. If you watch my reaction on that fight, within 1 minute of the start of the fight, I say Andy Ruiz Jr. is a live dog right now because he was landing combinations right out of the gate. Now, coming into the rematch, Anthony Joshua is a favorite once again. He is a minus 230 favorite. And the narrative to this one, I think the biggest narrative is where is Anthony Joshua at mentally? Reputable sources say that he was knocked out by a sparring partner a week before the last fight. If that's the case, I mean, there's no way in hell that he should have ever gotten into the ring. I know there's a lot of money on the line. And speaking of a lot of money on the line, he will get between $75 and $85 million for this rematch. Andy Ruiz Jr. only scheduled to make about $10 million as the champion. I mean, that's still a lot of money, but that's absolutely insane. But not only was he knocked out a week before by a sparring partner, it was said that he'd had a nervous breakdown in the dressing room. His father had asked him not to walk down to the ring, not to fight, to back out of the fight. And I mean, that maybe would have caused him more anxiety and been even worse on his reputation than getting knocked out. I kind of thought a lot of people might actually kind of root for Anthony after being defeated, like a comeback story kind of thing. He hasn't had the kind of attitude to gain fans from what I've seen, though. He came out with a statement that said, everybody will bow after I knock Andy Ruiz Jr. out. I don't know what that's about. That was kind of weird. But other interviews I seen him in leading up to this fight, he seemed very cerebral. He's taking this fight very seriously. He said he brung in somewhere around 10 different sparring partners, different sizes, different speeds. Even sparred some with Tyrone Spong, which I found pretty interesting. That might be very helpful for Andy Ruiz's quick combinations and things. So moving to Andy Ruiz for a minute as champion coming into this, there'd been a rumor the entire time, or a lot of this camp, that Andy Ruiz had lost 20 pounds. It got so far that Mike Tyson said he thought it was a mistake, that Andy Ruiz should just keep doing what he's doing. Well, Andy Ruiz had an interview 3 days ago there in Saudi Arabia, and they asked him about his weight. He came in 268 for the last fight. He said he plans on coming in at pretty much the same weight for this fight, either 267, 268. Certainly didn't look like he lost 20 pounds. So I think we're going to see a similar Andy Ruiz. I think we see a much better, more focused Anthony Joshua. And I think the reason he wanted this in Saudi Arabia, not just so it's on neutral grounds, it's not in the United States, it's not in the UK, he doesn't have the pressure of the hometown, or feel like he's the visitor. There is very little media coverage on the ground in Saudi Arabia. They're keeping that very controlled for him. They built that stadium just for this fight. So I think that was really went into the thinking of Anthony Joshua. I think that works in his favor. One thing we don't know when he was knocked out, was that a Tyson Buster Douglas moment? Did he lose anything mentally? And remember, even Mike Tyson came back and had some great victories after the Buster Douglas thing. You know, after the Buster Douglas knockout. How much has Anthony Joshua lost mentally? It sounds like he's had a phenomenal camp. Remember, this guy is a gold medalist from 2012. He was undefeated as a pro coming into that last fight. 22-1 now with 21 knockouts. Andy Ruiz 33-1 with 22 knockouts. Andy Ruiz actually has more experience professionally and more experience as an amateur. For those that don't know, Andy Ruiz 105-5 as an amateur. Anthony Joshua only had 43 fights as an amateur, 40-3, but winning that gold medal in 2012, of course, you know, a big feather in his cap. He actually fought the tougher opponents leading up to that. Victories over Dillian White, Dominic Brazil, and you know, some notable contenders along the way. Vladimir Klitschko, of course, he won the championship from. The common opponent, Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker gave Anthony Joshua fits, but he beat him in a decision, unanimous decision. Andy Ruiz Jr. lost the only fight of his career to Parker by majority decision. Now, coming into this fight, I think things are going to be much different. Anthony Joshua isn't going to be suffering from that concussion. I believe those reputable sources that Anthony Joshua was knocked out a week before that fight. I do believe that. I think that did happen. I don't think anybody made that up. I do think he was definitely having some issues mentally that fight. I don't know what else was going on, if anything else. But coming into this one, he is the favorite again. Anthony Joshua comes in the challenger minus 230. And I'm going to go with Vegas on this one. I think we see the same Andy Ruiz Jr., but I think we see a better Anthony Joshua. I think he doesn't get into the brawls and exchanges that he got into in the last fight, where he looked like he was even desperate. He was just desperate to get out of there. Even after he'd gotten the knockdown, he was just exchanging, swinging for the fences, throwing shots, taking shots, almost more of a Deontay Wilder style, like Deontay Wilder fought in the first Luis Ortiz fight, than the calm and calculated general style of Anthony Joshua. He said he's got a game plan together. He plans on sticking to it. I believe him. I'm going to take his word on that, and I'm going to take Anthony Joshua by decision or late round stoppage, somewhere 10th through the 12th. Let me know what you guys think, though. What's your prediction? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think the first fight was a fluke? Everybody, please hit that like button. Make sure and hit that subscribe button if you're new. Ring that bell so you're notified whenever I drop a new video, or go live like this Saturday for Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz 2 and UFC Fight Night Arlovski versus Rosenstruck. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.